I'm so happy to be sitting with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Can you do a quick, who are you, Melissa?
Melissa Borman. I work in Atlanta with Niles Bolton Associates. I'm the new interior design director. I took over after my predecessor left after, I don't know, she was there for 30 odd years.
Congratulations to you.
I know, it's
That's
exciting.
a big deal.
But yeah, no, excited to be here. This has been such a great visit.
Awesome. Well, we've talked so much about people, place, and purpose, and design, and leadership. There's just so many topics that we've unpacked. But what has been your biggest takeaway from our time together?
I think the most interesting conversations happened last night at dinner.
Yeah.
We laughed because this group ended up being a whole bunch of women coming together, and we're all kind of at this higher level of management. Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting that we all struggle with the same exact thing. We struggle with the same things with our employees, with the same things with our clients, and trying to get across our ideas, what we think might be best for them, but also hear what they're having to say.
Yeah, and those struggles are universal. Mm-hmm. They're innate, but I also think that what unites us and brings us together is, design and our passion for this industry too. And it was just so powerful to hear all the voices and all the amazing conversations that we had. Mm-hmm. So we have these 3 cards here, and it's about all of the topics that we've covered together. Career and growth, people and purpose, design and creativity. Which category are you drawn to?
Let's start with career and growth.
Career and growth. Ooh, I like this one. Melissa, what's your secret superpower as a designer?
I think it's listening.
Ooh.
I think it's listening. I think as a designer in my career path, I started in design, then I left and I became a project manager for a real estate firm. So I worked as an ownership rep. So I heard from their side on what was important for their business. So I had to manage design firms or manage contractors. And I think having that knowledge or understanding their point of view from a business case, I was able to then take that back into design and really understand that it's not always about what I think is best. It's about listening to what makes sense for their business.
Yeah.
And how to interpret that into a solution.
Yeah. How can designers better listen?
Well, I think you have to open your eyes. You have to ask questions. We have to be very careful not to walk into a project and have this preconceived notion of what they think is best. I think it's really great to go and observe a day in the life, if you will. I mean, it's kind of hard to dedicate that much time, but it's certainly nice to kind of go back and just sit for a little bit in somebody's office and see the workflow and how they make things work for them.
Well, it's this idea of designing with instead of designing for. And it's just that little shift in language and shift in mindset that makes it like universal and holistic with how we're approaching our customers, because we should be designing with them in mind, not just what I think, exactly what you said, not for them.
Right. And a lot of clients really don't know what they need.
Yeah.
So they almost need you to kind of ask the right questions to make them think and to kind of open all the options available to them.
And then that makes us psychologists and sociologists and all the things to unpack that.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to go to the next category, design and creativity. Describe your design style in one word. And then explain it.
Personal is eclectic.
Okay.
Professional, I would say client-based.
Okay. What makes you eclectic?
When I was much younger, I liked the very slick, modern, contemporary.
Yeah.
And I think as I've gotten older, I recognize there's a beauty to traditional or transitional lines of things. So I like a blend of kind of contemporary pieces mixed with some transitional, an occasional, traditional piece is nice to throw in there as well. But
I like that.
Really, looking at pieces, artwork, accessories, all of that kind of talk to you. They're not just something you throw into a space, but you pick it for a reason.
Yeah, it adds personality to a space too. I think like on the personal side, so many people want the Pinterest image or the cookie cutter house because it's what's trending right now. But it's those personal pieces and the eclectic things that mean to you. Yeah. What speaks to you. I love that. And then on the design side, you said client-based. What's that mean to you?
So we, as a firm, Niles Bolton, I've been there for almost 14 years. And we like to say that we will shape our design, our aesthetic around what works best for the client. So it might not be my own personal taste. You know, it's not something I'm going to put in my own living room, but the design aesthetic either has a certain feeling of what they produce, or if they're a law firm, or if they're a tech company, or let's say they rent furniture. You know, what is their goals and what design aesthetic works best for either the folks that are sitting in the office or are they bringing an outside clientele into the space?
Yeah. How do you balance that with designing the best design? You know, do you ever sacrifice design because the client maybe doesn't have as great taste of you?
I think that, that's certainly a struggle, and cost.
Yeah,
right?
That's
so
true.
I don't necessarily think that we have to design beautiful design. Great design doesn't have to cost a lot, right? We can do that very inexpensively. I think that the best designers can take somebody else's taste, and they can use that aesthetic to do the very best to illustrate that aesthetic.
Yeah, it's elevating.
It's elevating and challenging, right? You're not meant to take orders from a client. You're meant to take their initial thoughts, and then how do you translate that into beautiful space?
Well, a lot of it's the communication behind working with someone too, of you're the expert in the room, so how do you use your voice and your knowledge and your experience to push the boundaries and push them? Okay, so people and purpose. Who's someone in your life that saw potential in you? Ooh, that's deep.
I would say that my predecessor.
Yeah?
Yeah, Stephanie Kirkpatrick.
Yeah.
She was with Niles on and off since the 80s. And I have known her and worked with her for almost 25 years. So it is, we've worked together. When I worked at a different company, we were great friends. We still had periodic lunches to keep in each other's lives. But I think that she was always, her and I worked very well together.
Yeah.
And she was able to train me up in the profession.
What about her do you want to emulate in what you do?
I think she was very likable. I think she was pretty down to earth. I think that she kept abreast as to all of the different segments in business. You know, it wasn't just what we worked in. You know, it was different projects or different avenues throughout the city or nationally. I mean, we're licensed in all 50 states, so we work everywhere.
Great to have someone who's paved a path for you, but has also brought you up into that. That speaks
and
volumes.
trusted you, right? Would lead you down a path and then say, okay, now it's your turn.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So Phyllis Menke, who we've talked about her, she was the matriarch of our company.
I love Phyllis.
And you met Phyllis.
Yes, I did.
Oh, she's so sweet. So I'm going to butcher her quote, but it has to do with the trees in the forest. And we just walked through Cool Springs yesterday and all the big oak trees. But she talked about how she was an old oak tree. And sometimes the old trees have to fall down for the young ones to rise and the forest to rebuild and the regeneration of the forest. And I think that's such a beautiful example of mentorship and building people up and your growth too.
Well, and I laugh that you're saying that because we've always, throughout our relationship, we always said, okay, you're the forest person and I am the trees and the weeds person. For years and years. We worked great that way. And then, so now I'm still learning the process, right? To pull myself out of the weeds, out of the trees and basically be a forest person so that I'm now managing a group of people that are phenomenal designers and allowing them to kind of also spread their
Yeah.
wings, if you will,
Yeah.
and not doing it for them.
I love that. Well, that perspective and that growth mindset, I think having a growth mindset of growing up in the forest and, spreading your branches is so powerful to our industry. But also how you talked about listening, listening to your client, listening to your people. Those are what we need more in leadership as we're changing the conversation, right?
Right.
So thank you so much for your voice. Thank you for your growth in the industry. And hopefully you're going to have so many people under you who see what you're doing and you're paving the way for them too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. That's great.